Now I'd like to call the Joint Special School Building Committee to order. We're at the National High School North Lecture Hall. It's Monday, October 23rd, 2023. It's 7 p.m. The clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Dowd.
Present.
Alderwoman Wilshire.
Here.
Alderwoman McLee.
Here.
Alderman Timmons. Alderman Sullivan.
Here.
Ms. Raymond. Ms. Giglio.
Here.
Mr. Claffey.
Here.
Ms. Lampier. And Ms. Bishop is not here.
Miss Bishop is feeling ill today. I don't think she'll be joining us. Okay, if the clerk would lead us in the prayer, and if Alderman Timmons would leave us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Almighty God, we have the high honor and serious duty to manage the educational affairs of our beloved city. Fill us, O God, with a spirit of unity and understanding, which enables us to face our multiple problems with a serene mind, with justice and charity for all, so that any and all decisions made by us will always be for the betterment and greater happiness of all our fellow citizens. So help us God.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. All right, if there's no objections, I'll waive the reading of the minutes of the September 28th, 2023 meeting and place them on file. Remarks by Chairman. Thank you, everyone, for making the shift in day and time for the meeting, because the Board of Ed has something on Thursday. Okay. Remarks by school administration. Attendant? John?
Just a reminder, we have the dedication for Franklin Street this coming Friday afternoon, 1:30, I believe. And there's no school that day, so it should be plenty of parking.
Okay. Items for discussion, approval of invoices. We'll start with the architect's report from Harriman.
Good evening, Jamie Willett with Harriman. Tonight I have one highlight that I'll be covering at the Brian S. McCarthy Middle School. We did receive furniture bid packages, so I'd like to review that and make a recommendation and possibly see if we can get an approval to move that ahead. So covering kind of the design updates on that, we issued bidding documents of September 26th. I think last time we met here as in the board room was after that date. We followed up with a couple of addendum, making a few minor adjustments and coordination items. And we did receive bids on October 17th. And just as a reminder of the proposed install dates is for the B, C, and D. The classroom wings is May 1st through June 15th. And proposed install dates for the area A is between June 1st and July 1st. And I did want to note that the FF&E budget held by you folks is 3.76 million and some change. And so that number will be relevant when we get to the bids, but because that number will support the furniture package, but also other needs for the furnishings that's not included. And I'll cover some of those not included items in this presentation. So the furniture bids include new furniture selections. I presented that last month at the last month's JSSBC, talked about some of the different spaces and some of the furniture pieces that were in the bid package. These furniture selections have proven durability, proven experience, and proven service. Many of these pieces are pieces that were not only at Pennachuck, but also at Fairgrounds. There's some different models being used, but most of it's by KI, which is the company that fulfilled the orders for those other two schools. And they're a very reputable furniture company for school furnishings. So for this project, there were 5 bidders that submitted bids. Hertz Furniture, formerly was School Furnishings, who provided the furniture for the other two schools. They have offices in Hudson, New Hampshire. WB Mason, an office in Manchester, New Hampshire. Creative Office Resources has an office in Portland, Maine. Exteris has an office in Portland, Maine. And then Lakeshore Learning is a California-based company with retail stores in Massachusetts. So for the bid summary, we have Hertz Furniture. They offered bids for all the products that were in the bid forms or in the package. There was no substitutions offered, which is a good thing because then you're getting what was specified. And they had the lowest qualified bid on all specified products. WB Mason also offered bids for all products with no substitutions. They were the second lowest qualified bid on specified products. Creative Office Resources also bid all products and offered no substitutions. They were the third lowest. Exteris offered bids for all the products, again with no substitutions, but they had the highest qualified bid. And then Lakeshore Learning, they did not bid on 38 of the line items. That's not 38 individual pieces, that's 38 line items, so that's many, many pieces. Generally, Lakeshore Learning's offerings are geared more for pre-K to 11-year-old, not necessarily middle school age group. And there were many substitutions that we did not consider an equal. Again, it's kind of that younger student setting. And because their bid was not complete, it didn't bid on everything, we'd consider that a disqualified bid. So what does the bid include? So it includes the classroom furniture, again, the stuff that we presented at last month's meeting, but classroom furniture for staff and student desks and chairs, office furniture, cafeteria tables and chairs, appliances, shelving for storage areas, learning commons furniture, student commons furniture, and also included an art kiln. There's one that's being pulled over from Elm Street, or is intended to be brought over from Elm Street, but I needed a second one. So that'll be this one new one. Some of the items the bid does not include, but could be considered out of the FF&E budget, either at a later date or as part of this, kind of earlier on process, could be coordinated with the furniture vendor that's selected if need be. But those are and actually some of those items would come out of the technology budget as well. There's a separate line item for technology. So things like the teaching devices and equipment aren't included, student equipment, like pens, paper, electronic stuff, teaching equipment, electronic teaching and teacher or student devices, unified arts and tech ed and STEAM equipment. So an example there would be like the table saws and things like that. Some of those items will have to be purchased later if need be. Some of them I know they're at Elm Street being talked about being brought over. So there's still coordination happening on that. Kitchen equipment is not included. The cooking equipment and the kitchen setup equipment is part of the construction document. So it is part of the package and it will be included in the project. It's just not part of this FF&E bid package. Individual cooking utensils and things like that are not in the project currently or in this bid package. Athletic equipment, much of that is provided in the project already. Basketball hoops, volleyball nets, and the curtains in the gym are all part of the construction documents. Outside play equipment has been included for shot put, the basketball hoop outside. But there will be some other things like, jerseys potentially. I know that's something that has been kind of talked about in the realm of the conversations, and other equipment. So some of that would have to come out of the additional FF&E budgets that would remain. And then grounds equipment and tools, things like a plow truck or a snow blower, lawnmowers. Those things aren't included in this bid package either.
Thank you. So when you're talking about kitchen equipment, that's for the cafeteria kitchen equipment. What about the family and consumer science, stoves and fridges and such?
Yeah, appliances are included, but not the cooking equipment like pots and pans and things like that. So, but appliances are included. So stoves, dishwashers, refrigerators. Those are in this bid package here that's being proposed tonight.
Great, thank you.
Yes, Alderman Sullivan.
Thank you. I did jump ahead a little bit and I was looking at the pricing.
Got there yet?
No. But ahead of that, and I noticed that there was one vendor that didn't bid on 38 items. Can you cherry pick off these? Can you take chairs from one vendor, tables from another, depending on where you go?
That is something that can happen.
Okay.
I presume, yes.
All right. Thanks.
So if you could read that, that'd be great, but I can't. But this is just a list of all the furniture and pieces. It kind of shows where everything stands. I want to make sure I share that information. That last column with all the red, that's where the Lakeshore Learning either provided no bid or a substitution. So that just kind of designates that. And so there's 2 slides of that. And then if you zoom in at the bottom here, you'd see this.
Get it through.
Thank you. I had also jumped ahead, so I do have a question on this if I can, or do you want me to
No,
wait
of course, go
to
ahead.
discuss it? No, my only question was when I was looking at like Hertz and WB Mason, there's some significant differences. The subtotals seem to be not too far apart, but when it comes to the installation of 80,000 versus 181,000, and then one does shipping and one does not charge for shipping. I guess my question is, when I'm looking at all the installations and Hertz is so much less, have you asked why?
No, I haven't specifically asked why. Hertz is a company that you've worked with in the past. There was School Furnishings prior, but they're the ones that did the install for Pennachuck and Fairgrounds. I do not have a specific answer on why. I did not ask them that particular question. We can confirm that there's, if there's any mistake, but I know that we did follow up with Hertz as an example to make sure. There was a couple of questions we had on their bids, and we did follow up with them to review their number and make sure that it was their actual bid, and they did confirm. So I feel confident in that.
No, I mean, to be honest with you, there's no need. It just kind of jumps out at me. They're the only one that's less than 100,000. All the other ones have it. And all of them have shipping, which kind of stays within range, except for WB Mason, who has 0 shipping costs. So
Yeah.
I was just kind of curious as to the difference, but the fact that we've used them before, we know them to be of their word. I have no question with it. That was just kind of more of a curiosity. Thank you.
I presume it's a strategy, honestly, but I don't know that factually. So
Just for the edification of the public, and who do we use for Fairgrounds and Pennachuck?
it was School Furnishings, which is now Hertz Furniture.
Thanks, everybody. Question, Mrs. Raymond?
Wasn't turning on, sorry, thank you. Who did the chairs here that we had to replace? Does anyone remember? I know it's been
Company,
like 15 years. Okay.
the same quality furniture. We made sure of that.
Okay. That's just my concern. I know that we've been down this road where we've spent millions of dollars on furniture and then had to spend millions of dollars on new furniture.
To address that question a little bit, I don't know who did the furniture here, but I think I've said before that KI Furniture is a high quality furnishing for school. It's set up for school settings. We have used it on, I'd say, dozens of schools with great success. And again, you have it at Fairgrounds and Pennachuck as well. So
Just another question for the audience. All 3 of those top 3 or low 3 bids are all identical pieces of furniture.
yeah, no substitutions
No
were offered.
substitutions.
Yeah, actually the top 4 bids. So.
No difference between.
All right, so if I'm hopping into this, you can see that Hertz Furniture is offering a grand total cost of $1,572,969.06. And they are the lowest qualified bid. And we would recommend them for approval on this project.
Any other questions? So vote on who to go with. So the low bidder is Hertz Furniture of Hudson, New Hampshire. So I need a motion to approve the acquisition of the McCarthy School furniture from Hertz Furniture of Hudson, New Hampshire in the amount of $1,572,969.06.
I,
Make that motion. Okay.
my question is, what is the quality between the two?
What do you mean the quality between the
Quality,
two?
are we, versus Hertz and,
W. Mason, again, there's no substitutions offered. So for Hertz, W. Mason, Creative Office Resources, and Exteris, they're all supplying these same furniture pieces and equipment or appliances. So the only difference is their bid numbers that they're offering.
okay, because go lower, sometimes the quality isn't there. So in this particular case, you're saying that the quality is there, it's the same, it's just their bid is low.
Correct.
If anybody's entertaining that we could go back for best and final, we can't because we've now publicly identified all the bids.
That's what,
Just to save Jamie some legal issues. Alderman Sullivan.
Thank you. Just back to my cherry pick question. I'm going to should I assume that the installation from Hertz Furniture in Hudson, $80,000, is assuming that we are going to order lines 1 through whatever, all from them?
I would guess that's probably true.
Can't change their bid. They bid for a package, they bid the package, and the way you could cherry pick it would be to eliminate line items for that bid that we select, but I don't think we want to do that because we want furniture. It's all identical from all three companies, and it's all identical to the furniture we use at Pennachuck and Fairgrounds, or not all of Fairgrounds, but some of Fairgrounds. Smith.
Leading up to this, the Harriman met with the principal, met with the superintendent, assistant superintendent. Pasca went through the entire furniture list, pretty much room by room, made sure that everything was uniform. We're conscious of colors. So all that was taken into consideration leading up to this point and put together in the RFP that was sent out back in September.
One more. On installation, does that cover actually like putting everything in their spots in the school? Okay, so our teachers aren't going to come in August to like piles of chairs in the hallways or something.
I'm sure they'll move them a little when they get in their classroom, but no, they don't have to put them in the classroom, and it'll set up in probably a configuration the superintendent designates, I guess.
I mean, as long as our teachers aren't, or even custodial staff aren't having to lug things from the parking lot in all by themselves, I'm happy.
Yeah, we provided plans that gave a key of where all the different furniture would go. So they have the changes can be made, but if we have a plan that this is where they intend to put it in, and the specification is written that they are to provide them in those locations.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm just saying the teachers have enough to do.
No, Mr. Smith can correct me, but any furniture coming over from Elm Street will be handled by our staff. Correct?
We're discussing that. Actually, I met with
It's very minimal to no furniture coming over. So,
Yeah.
that's good.
yeah, it's a
That was the
brand new
next thing.
school, and we're not bringing over 50-year-old furniture. I just a point also the principal at Elm Street has also showed the furniture renderings to the staff there for teacher input. So when we were going through the process, we had 3 or 4 different color combinations, and it was the voice of the Elm Street teachers on the colors that are selected. And so they're aware of the quality of the furniture, the colors of the furniture. We thought it was really important that they had a voice in the process and knowing what it looked like. So I just wanted to add that on. It wasn't just central office staff picking out the furniture.
And if I understood that correctly, there was actually even some students that provided some input on some of the furniture too, so.
I do know that the kids at Pennachuck like the furniture. Yes, Miss.
I should have asked this earlier, but does this include any chairs and equipment for the special ed rooms?
There's some discussions with the special ed director on some of the needs there, that we did provide some furniture for them. There's not specialized furniture if needed. I think what I was advised is that would be either bought in the budget after the remaining FF&E budget
Okay.
that's there. Or if individual students need something particular, that would be reviewed. But this furniture is the mass for the school. But there's chairs. There are things like, I think we looked at the last meeting, like some of these sensory chairs are in there, and wobble stools, things like that are in this particular package, but not specialized furniture that maybe certain students might need.
Okay. What does FFE stand for?
I'm sorry. Furniture, fixtures, furniture, and equipment.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
Thank you for asking.
I knew I missed to get that acronym.
And Miss Lampier, some of the furniture that we were selecting is adjustable so that if students are in wheelchairs or need kind of different furniture, like this package includes some adjustable furniture. And again, to Jamie's point, this is the bigger school aspect, but Mr. Alexander has been working with Jamie on identifying some potential needs down the road. So.
Questions before we spend $1.6 million? Alderman Sullivan?
Thank you very much. I'm looking at the
1572.
rest is
Yeah, some of that stuff I listed was technology, and there's also a technology line item as well that could be considered to house some of those pieces too. But yes, to answer your question, it's yes.
Separate line for technology equipment is not included in the F&E. Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right. Is that it?
Yes.
Okay. Next will be the construction manager's report from Harvey. Ken?
Good evening, everybody. Happy Monday. Ken Lemarier, project manager, Harvey Construction. So I'll, as usual, kind of take us through the updates for the McCarthy Middle School, and then Brendan Arell from Harvey Construction and Matt Smith from EEI will take you through some updates over at Maine Dunstable Birch Hill Elementary. And then we have a couple of bookkeeping items for those elementary schools as well. And then that'll conclude the Harvey items. So
Just so you know, the agenda is Fairgrounds and Pennachuck. Those projects are done. That's why there's no update.
okay, so jumping over to the McCarthy Middle School. So we have some new aerial photographs that were taken. I believe these were taken about 2 weeks ago or so. So you can kind of see how we're progressing around the building. So building C is more further along, and building B, since this photo has been taken, when this photo was taken, the masons were working in here. They've since completed this, and then they're jumping around. They should be completing all of the brick veneer by the end of November, and then the rest of the siding and the metal panels will be kind of taking place and being completed through the month of January. So not a critical path item, but just something that we can pluck away at as we continue through the year here. So starting further away, kind of focusing more on the earthwork area. So we are now installing some of the larger retaining walls. So with that comes all of the kind of the fine tuning, the grading before the grading of the earthwork before the ground gets too solid to work with. So we've been temps have been pretty favorable to work through. So we're going to keep plucking away until the weather doesn't permit. So we're almost there. I was speaking to Alderman Dowd before this meeting and confirming with my site superintendent today. We're going to be tying in the existing sidewalk at the base of D'Antonio Drive and Buck Meadow. So we'll be kind of cleaning that up, and as well as addressing any of the kind of the concrete areas that are away from the building. And then in the spring, we'll kind of work our way towards the building and get the landscaping areas and all of the flat work areas tied in as we move into next summer. The air vapor barrier, so that's all the basically keeping the water outside of the building. So the air vapor barrier for the building has been completed. Part of that is the roof system. The only open item that remains is the metal trim that goes around the perimeter of the outside of the building. And I think it was last week we were kind of reviewing that with Jamie and on site, and we kind of discussed that I think it's best that we install all of that once the weather turns next year, so you kind of get a consistent finish. So we're working on making sure that all of the roofing membrane is going to be in place and will be intact over the winter to kind of keep things temped in as we work our way into 2024. All of the windows are in. We have a couple curtain walls that are remaining, and then we'll be kind of installing the sunshades as we move along through the outside of the building. And I mentioned the masonry veneer and the siding will just be kind of ongoing over the next few months.
Couple things. One, you can see here and here, a lot of the trees have been planted, not all. We're going to, along Cherrywood and in this neighborhood, there are pear trees with the white flowers in the spring. It's pretty nice. So we're going to be planting some additional pear trees along Medallion, so it blends in with the rest of the neighborhood.
Those the non-native Bradford pears that are considered invasive.
You're asking the wrong person.
Can we check on that before
Basin,
we invest tons of money on that?
Moran's identified the trees that are in the neighborhood, and they're going to be the same.
Those are bad. They're not a true pear. If they're the Bradford pears that bloom in the summer and in the spring and smell really bad and, contribute to monoculture. Talk to the Conservation Commission. I'll get back to you.
As liaison of the Conservation Commission from the Board of Aldermen, they don't have a problem with them.
All right. If they're cool, I'm cool.
Okay. And the other thing is, right now, there's a construction fence along Medallion that goes around the corner to the first house. We're going to be, at the end of the project, taking that construction fence down and replacing it with a 4-foot chain link fence so that kids don't try to go through the drainage ditch up the hill to the school. So it's a safety precaution. I verified that with the police have no problem with that. I just left their meeting. And you can see the traffic circle is completed.
Yeah, so one other earthwork related and landscaping related item is that you can see that we did get substantial growth on the athletic fields, which is something that we are really shooting for this year. So we'll have a full second growing season. So it should have a nice base established for when the fall sports
And it's
start.
totally irrigated, but this year we didn't need it. So
Okay, moving into the interior. So we'll start with the kind of more of the student wings. So those are all relatively at the kind of the same point, building C being furthest along. So we'll be starting pretty much final cleaning most of that building, and we'll be starting the punch list process with Harriman and their team over the next couple of weeks. And then we'll be working our way through buildings B and D. We do have the temporary heat going for the entire building right now, so kind of takes care of us through the heating season, takes care of all of the finishes to make sure that we've got things protected as we before we have our full air handling units up and running. Those are scheduled for startup in the month of November. Shape moving in. The photo on the right here is the view from the first floor on Area C, so not the ground level, but kind of gives you a good view at the other side of the student commons here. So if you turn around and if you're standing in here looking out in that direction, that's the view you see when you're looking out the window. So it's
Pear trees in the neighborhood. We're not done planting trees there yet either.
any questions on the interior of the building for the student wings? Okay, moving into building A, which is kind of more the main entrance and going to be kind of the focal point. So I know during last month's meeting, there were some questions about natural light in the cafeteria, and Jamie did a good job of explaining that, but I just wanted to show kind of from a different view of you have the curtain wall adjacent to building D. You can kind of see the nice open space. We're starting to get some first coats of paint on the learning commons. So up here and the second floor of A, you can see there's a natural skylight that is, I think it's right about here, Jamie. And then we have the performance platform that's since been sheathed and kind of getting finishes tuned up in here. So in the gymnasium as well, we're going to be starting to paint, and gym equipment will be coming in the month of November. So things are going to start to take shape, and we'll have some better photos for you in Area A next month here. Questions on McCarthy?
Questions so far? Yes.
I don't know if it's just me. The performance platform looks kind of small, so I was wondering like how many kids are expected to be using that at one time.
I think it's more a visual
It is.
thing. It's pretty big. We're going to
Okay.
take another
Yeah,
tour.
I think you could
get a lot of
see-
people on it.
Okay.
To
All
get
right.
some scale, you can see there's a person on a lift right here. If you look in the
Oh yeah, I didn't see that. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty big. Okay, thank you.
yeah.
So, switching gears and going from the middle schools to the elementary. Brendan?
Hello, everyone. Brendan Arell, Harvey Construction. Give you a quick update on Birch Hill and Maine Dunstable Elementary Schools. Starting in the teacher's lounge area and the cafeteria. So we showed these pictures a couple times. Not much has changed in this area since the last meeting. The only difference is that we have since turned over both the teacher's lounge and the toilet rooms to use for the school. There is one toilet room in this area, which is actually clouded within that image in the center. And that toilet room will actually be turned over sometime in the month of November. Matt's team over at EEI, they have a big heavy lift to do to get all of the electrical infrastructure out of that existing toilet room and into the closet on the back side of that wall. So once that shutdown takes place and that work is completed, we will then get into that bathroom and complete our finishes. Otherwise, within the cafeteria space, we do have a few minor finishes to be completed over the coming months. During the Christmas break period and potentially during Thanksgiving break, we will be wrapping up some minor items such as window shades, some minor knee walls at the bottom of the storefront assemblies to mount some heating elements to. So we'll be working closely with Matt's team to wrap up those remaining items. Jumping into the phase 2 area. So this has been where the bulk of the work has been taking place over the last couple months here, focusing on the interior to start. So as I mentioned at the last meeting, we have had a lot of mechanical, electrical, and plumbing rough-in being completed on both levels. You can see in the image at the bottom in the center, a large mechanical unit which will provide heating, ventilation, and cooling to these spaces. And that was brought in at the end of last week, with the other unit coming in just a few more weeks, which I'll let Matt speak further to. So it's been a big push down there, framing walls, installing door frames, starting to get some of the base coats of paint in. as you can see in the upper center image, we've started painting some door frames, brought in some of the finished doors and hardware, and have begun mounting those items. And over the coming months, we will start to get further into the interior finishes with a tracking completion for February break, in the hope to actually get Jamie and his team in a few weeks early to have them view the space and provide any punch lists or items to rectify.
Question just came up. Those 2 dates there should be 24, right?
Yes, yes, they should be.
Behind schedule.
Behind schedule, I guess. Apparently, and I can't read. Thank you for that. Yes, they should be early January 2024. Thank you. Yes, yes, it does. Next slide, Ken. Thank you. So some of the more exciting work that we're performing now. So as I mentioned at the previous meeting, a lot of exterior work taking place over this month and next, with the replacement of the existing masonry sills with a nice new precast sill. You can see in the image to the right, as well as the image on the bottom and the center. We have demoed out those existing masonry sills. The storefront installer arrived today and actually replaced 2 storefronts at Birch Hill and I believe 1 at Main Dunstable. And they will be there for the next 2 weeks working hard to get those replaced.
Just for those watching, that's a window unit, even though we call it a storefront.
Correct. Fancy terminology. So big push on that scope. Once we get those units replaced, we build some knee walls at the interior, and then Matt's team walks right behind us and mounts their heating elements to get some heat into this space as we near the summer months. Luckily, the temperatures, as Ken had mentioned, have been favorable for us this year. So it's worked out really well to do some of that work later into the year. And some of the upcoming items that we have. So as I mentioned, the precast sills will be coming in. And then after that, we'll be doing the millwork. And then also we have the lockers and cubbies coming in the months to come, followed by finishes. Yeah.
Questions? No? Okay. Matt?
Hi, Matt Smith with Energy Efficient Investments. So yeah, back on the previous page, bottom middle, we have 4 of these units for this phase between the 2 schools. 1 serves the lower level, 1 serves the upper level. It takes a full day to get the riggers to get them into the building, so they've been kind of spread out. So we did get the first one in Birch Hill. And then they're sending us 2 crews on the 30th. So we're going to do the second one at Birch Hill and the first one at Main D. And then we get them the very next day on the 31st to install the second one over at Main D. So by the end of the month, we should have all 4 of those air handler units into place, which is an exciting thing because we actually thought one of them was coming late. And we luckily got all 4 of them in, so it's helping with the pressure of turning this over. So that was good news. You can see the ductwork on the right-hand side kind of really shows that we're pushing through pretty well, getting all the ductwork in, getting it all insulated, and getting it ready for Harvey's guys to start closing this area up and moving on. And then on the next slide, Ken. So we had a super busy, I think right after our last JSSBC meeting, I had talked about a busy Indigenous People weekend that we had coming up, and we certainly did. So on the gym roof, there's a large rooftop unit that you can kind of see up there in the flagging. We've got those on at both schools, so we no longer have to run off of the temporary fans. We got the permanent units in and started up over that weekend. And then over on the top left, we were able on over the top of the the classroom wing, able to get the condensing units that correlate with the interior air handler units. So we've been able to get some big equipment to the site and get it flown up onto the roof. So we've been pushing along and things are moving along nicely. So those are the big highlighted points for now.
Any questions on the guy?
Okay, thank you.
All right. All set, Brendan?
Yes.
Ken, do you want to?
No, I think we're all set. I just will say one item, so related to the gymnasium. So I don't know if the group recalls, but we have temporary classrooms and portables at the exterior of the building, and then we also have 5 classrooms in each gymnasium. You can imagine 5 classrooms in the gymnasiums kind of creates a lot of reverberation. So we are working with in listening to the principals and the teachers in each of the locations, and we're going to be Brendan's done a lot of legwork with the help of Mr. Smith and his team to get some acoustic panels that we're going to be hanging from the ceiling to kind of help dampen the sound and make each classroom kind of seem like its own space. So we are kind of, we're working with everybody just to make sure that we're providing a good learning environment for everybody as we're guests in the school. So
Knowing the school department never throws anything away. Those panels were from the new Searles school renovation, and we kept them, and now going to be used again.
okay, any other questions for Harvey for the construction update?
You still have your PCCOs.
Sunset Heights, we got them.
Probably Sunset Heights.
Sunset Heights, yeah, not nurseries. Okay. All right.
So 2 PCCOs to present here, prime contract change orders. If you recall last month, Jamie and I presented PCO number 3. There was one for Maine Dunstable and another for Birch Hill. Those were for the new storefronts and precast sills. So this is the formality to that. The PCCO number 3, one for Maine Dunstable and one for Birch Hill, identical in scope and identical in value. If approved, these PCCOs would increase the overall project budget by the value denoted within. So I will start by presenting Maine Dunstable Elementary School. So the value for PCCO number 3 at Maine Dunstable is $47,034.32.
I'll need a motion on the floor to approve PCCO number 3 for the first one's Maine Dunstable in the amount of $47,034.32.
I'll make the motion.
There made the motion. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
I think I'll just jump right into Birch Hill since
So for Birch Hill,
the same.
PCCO number 3, the value for this is $47,034.32 for Birch Hill Elementary.
I'll need a motion to approve PCCO number 3 for Birch Hill Elementary School, the amount of $47,034.32. Alderman Timmons. All right. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see. Smith, invoices.
Okay, go through invoices, reading these from the agenda. We have 3 invoices for Allied Universal for security work at Franklin Street. Those total $10,141.98. 1 invoice from Cleanorama at McCarthy Middle School for $4,610.76. 1 invoice from E&E Security for work at Birch Hill, and that was at $58,670.40. Energy efficient investments, 2 invoices, 1 for Birch Hill, 1 for Main D, totaling $1,579,499.64. 1 invoice from John Turner Consulting, their testing agency, for $3,789.28 for work at Birch Hill. 4 invoices from Harriman, the architect, for work at the McCarthy Middle School, Franklin Street, Birch Hill, Main D, totaling $63,163.33. 4 invoices from Harvey Construction for work at McCarthy Middle School, Franklin Street, Birch Hill, Main Dunstable, totaling $1,536,576.94. 1 invoice from Hader Swanson for work at McCarthy Middle School, $1,837.45. 2 invoices from Page Street, those are the ground storage units, or units at Birch Hill, Main Dunstable, totaling $200. 1 invoice from Posic for, those are the lock sets for Birch Hill, Main Dunstable, $13,712. 1 invoice from HL Turner Group for they're the architect for the security project, and that was $2,377.50. 1 invoice from the Turner Group, Turner Building and Science actually, for commissioning work at McCarthy Middle School, $6,153.08. Finally, 1 invoice from Vanessa Associates, our traffic consultant, for work at Pennachuck, $1,005.73. By school, for Franklin Street, $154,522.66. For the middle school project, $1,006,715.94. For Birch Hill, Main Dunstable, $2,117,116.26. And for the security vestibule project, $2,377.50. All those total $3,281,738.09.
Okay, so I'll need a motion to approve the invoices for Franklin Street invoices in the amount of $154,522.66. Middle school project invoices in the amount of $1,006,715.94. Birch Hill, Main Dunstable in the amount of $2,117,116.26, and the security vestibules, $2,377.50, for total invoices to be approved this evening, $3,281,738.09.
I'll approve that motion. I'll make
Elio
that
has
motion.
made the motion to approve. Are there any questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I'm going to have comments by committee members, but I just did want to bring out that we've been working with light on Manchester Street, and we had Dan Hudson and husband, who's the traffic manager, myself, and Chris from security, sit there and watch the light for the dismissal of school. Recommended changes to be made. Sean, do you have any update on that? The city went to Vanessa to recommend changes, and we told them we had to approve whatever they were going to do first. So,
No, there hasn't been very much motion on that since that meeting.
okay. One of the issues at Pennachuck was there's 2 crosswalks, and when the students came and pushed the first button, it was stopping the people on Manchester Street before the kids even got to Manchester Street. So we're gonna make those separate, and there were a couple other changes, but basically to improve the traffic flow on Manchester Street. Yeah. Yes, go ahead.
I'm not going to complain. Has there been any more discussion about changing the bus entrance and the parent entrance?
Yes, and we're not going to wait till next summer to figure it out. We're looking at it right now. Chris from security is looking at it, and there are a few things that we have to basically come up with a plan on how to do that. And bus loop that comes in separately off of Manchester Street will now be emergency access only for emergency vehicles, because the buses will come in the main entrance and go to the front of the school. But we'll bring it all back here to approval, and talking with the superintendent, everybody, make sure that it's all worked out before we come back to have it approved here. Actually, I'm not even sure it needs to come back here to be approved. I think it's the school department's call. So, but if anybody has any questions, we are working on that, and there's a few things that need to be done, and those things are being worked on right now. Chris Lassard. Anyone want to add anything to that?
No, it was actually just ironically, I met with the Penachuk staff this afternoon and just talking about the possibly 100 new students there, like for next year. Right. So how do we take into account like more students, more parent drop off? So I think that's on their mind as well. So it'll be interesting on the new traffic pattern if we add another 50 or 70 cars per day for the new students. So we just have to be cognizant of that.
Alderman Timmons, did you have a question?
No. And then kind of answered the question before I had a chance to ask the question anyway. But yeah, I wanted to know what was the purpose of doing what you were doing, but he kind of just said the purpose of it. So thank you. And it's good to hear that we are adding students, not losing students. That's a good thing. That's a good thing for Nashua. It's a good thing for the city.
And probably even more students following year, right? Oh, you're talking 24.
You're
Talking 24.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talking
So
24, yeah.
when they've got the
Reconfigure
population
it,
in
yeah.
all three middle schools, it'll be more.
Mm-hmm.
Penachuk, which is bigger. Any other questions? Public, I have a motion. Motion is to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned at 7:53 PM. Thank you, everybody.